Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Wayne Malou. You are listening to the Raptors Reaction Podcast. Raptors lose tonight 119 to 92 against the New York Knicks. After all the excitement of the Raptors coming off a 4-1 road trip, beating OKC for arguably their most noteworthy win of the season, they come home to a New York Knicks team that was shorthanded, that was on the second half of back-to-back, and the Raptors, despite Jalen Brunson being sick and not playing basically for the whole second half with foul trouble and everything like that, Raptors still embarrassed themselves with the way they played tonight. This is not acceptable as a team. And I really hope that when Darko and the players go to the press conference, they mention that this is not acceptable, that they played below themselves tonight, and that this is a hurdle they must get over. We understand that there are going to be off nights in the league. We've seen the Raptors have lots of good nights. Those are all things that are worth celebrating, and maybe all the celebrating gets to people's heads in a way, because this tonight is well below the standard that the Raptors have set for themselves. And if you missed a game, this is how it went. Raptors were doing well, okay? They weren't hitting their threes, but that's normal. They weren't hitting the threes, but, they were pressuring. They were getting to the foul line. The Knicks looked tired. They were slapping a little bit. Raptors got to the foul line a bunch. Brandon Ingram, he was cooking, and it was looking good. 7 minutes left in the third quarter. The Raptors are up 66 to 55. You're like, okay, it's still a game, but, Raptors are doing well. The rest of the game, again, the Raptors lose this game 119 to 92. That means over the last 20 minutes of the game, the Raptors lost 64 to 26. And this is at home, by the way. It really matters when you put up these stinkers at home, because we've seen these ones at home. If you noticed, I'm not going to get upset with them after every loss, okay? That's unreasonable. However, it pisses me off when they do this at home. When they wet the bed against the Celtics in the same fashion, getting washed by 25 plus at home. When they wet the bed against the Charlotte Hornets at home by 25 points or something like that. And after the game, that was one where Darko said, we gave a great effort out there. I'm sorry, but at a certain point, you are either a team that is trying to go for the playoffs, that is 29-19, or tonight after 29-20, or you are just a developing team. You don't get to have it both ways. And tonight, they fell so far below their standards. And this is why I'm upset, because this happens all the time. When the Raptors lose like this, they lose in the same way each time. The other team starts giving the Raptors a bit of a taste of their own medicine, and the Raptors just fold. And what do I mean by that? Physicality, pressure on the wing, and that type of intensity on defense. Raptors could not execute. Raptors didn't know where to go. Raptors kept turning the ball over. I mean, tonight, 20? How many turnovers tonight? 20 turnovers tonight for the Raptors. And the Knicks running the other way on the fast break. Mikal Bridges getting open, OG Anunoby getting open, Josh Hart swishing every three, Karl Anthony Towns getting 20 plus rebounds, and it was just an avalanche. And honestly, before the Raptors knew it, before they knew how to actually stop the bleeding, the game was literally over in 10 minutes. And this is what bothers me about that, because how many times are you going to let the Knicks do this to you, right? We've seen the Raptors lose 11 straight times to the New York Knicks now. 11. Okay? 11 straight times. That's multiple years losing to the Knicks. Raptors are going to play the Knicks 5 times this season. It's a weird quirk of the schedule, but it's because of the NBA Cup. Raptors obviously played the Knicks in the quarterfinals. By the way, Raptors got washed at home in Toronto by 20 plus in the NBA Cup as well, in the same fashion, except that one, they were up the whole game. This one, the Raptors got up, the Knicks were a little tired, and then guess what? The Knicks big bro the Raptors once again. How many times are you going to let that happen to you, right? For RQ, for RJ, you guys got dumped by the Knicks. The Knicks said, we're going to level up by moving on from you. The Knicks said the dynasty starts after you. We're going to get OG, and guess what? OG does great things. What did OG tonight? OG does 26 points on 11-18 shooting, dominated across the board, 6 steals, 2 blocks, 8 stocks. How about that for OG Anunoby? Like a ridiculous game for OG. A huge reason why the Knicks won this game. What's the response from that? Right? What is the response? And also, for the rest of the team, I mean, to be honest, the only guy I'm not blaming tonight is Brandon Ingram, because he got buckets. The game fell apart once they took Brandon Ingram out the game. And by the time Brandon Ingram came back in the game, they couldn't get him the ball. And the rest of the Raptors, had no answers. But I'm also looking at elsewhere. Okay, all the great performances of Scottie Barnes all season, leading the team, playing with intensity, playing both ends of the floor. Which end of the floor did Scottie play tonight? Right? We've seen him have some slow offensive starts. That happened a lot on the road trip as well. But he was able to turn it around at certain points, and his defense was on point. Where was that tonight? You didn't really see that impact tonight. His effort to try to take over the game and stop the bleeding, that's what leaders do. I mean, it's when the game's close, when the game's right there, the competitiveness from Scottie is unbelievable. But when the game was slipping and they needed to stop the run with the bucket, with the key play, with the key rebound, with a string of those, settling back in to say, don't worry, best play on the floor is here tonight. You never felt that from him tonight. And that's disappointing as a young leader because we know what Scottie can do. Again, I'm only holding the team to the standards that they've shown for themselves this year, okay? Because we don't get to have it both ways all the time. It's not fair to the fan base, and quite frankly, I don't think it's fair to themselves. They've shown that they can do a better level. They even showed in this game that they can play well against the Knicks. But in those difficult moments, were guys able to execute and were the Raptors able to stick to their own principles of what they are? Because the Raptors have done this to other teams. They've pantsed other teams. When the Raptors beat the Warriors at home in overtime, that's basically what happened here. Pressure on the ball, physicality, forcing the other team to get uncomfortable, make cross-court passes that won't make it, steal the ball, go the other way, score in transition, and hit some timely threes, right? And all of a sudden you flip the game, and now all of a sudden you look dominant. But where was the Raptors' response to that in tonight's game? And again, Brandon is the only guy I'm exempting from this because Brandon, single-handedly carried the offense for long stretches, right? End of the second quarter, start of the third quarter, Raptors were rolling during their stretches. Brandon was giving you tough buckets after tough buckets. And tonight he's getting guarded by two of the best wing defenders in the league, in OG and Mikal Bridges. But when he comes out the game, who's going to carry that onward? Jamal Shead, who has had a really nice season and, one of my favorite players on the team. Going down to practice yesterday, I'm in the scrum asking everybody, how did Jamal Shead get that snub for the rookie, Rising Stars game, right? I mean, didn't even outplay Tyler Kolek tonight. Tyler Kolek was snapping the ball around, moving it, hitting threes, but ultimately facilitating. I mean, he did to Jamal Shead what Jamal Shead does to other teams, right? You didn't see Jamal's impact on this game, the leadership that he typically shows. You didn't see that. Emmanuel Quickley, who had a great road trip, player of the week, when he was asked by Michael Grange, hey, what went into the turnaround for your game? He snaps back and says, don't even talk to me about that, right? It's you guys that think I'm up and down. I'm going to stay consistent. Well, what are we going to look at, the numbers? Because that wasn't the player of the week that showed up tonight with the impact that he had on the floor. Really struggled against the physicality against New York. Couldn't get free, couldn't get open. That wasn't there. And again, you look at the structural things when the Raptors lose, and when they lose in this fashion, this is like the fifth or sixth loss they've had this season, just in this exact fashion alone. What that shows you, especially as a group, and maybe even to management, is that this is ultimately what's going to hold this team back right now. The Raptors have shown they can compete, right? I'm not expecting them to beat the Knicks every time. That's not realistic. The Knicks are one of the best teams in the NBA. They won the NBA Cup. They had a lull there for about a solid month, but they're starting to turn it around, and that's what they should be doing. Like, the Knicks should be looking to make the finals, or it's a disappointment this year. And the Raptors don't have that level of expectation, no matter how well they played so far. However, that doesn't mean that you can't impose a little bit of your game on the other team. Every Raptors-Knicks game is the same. They dial up the physicality. They start playing aggressive and confident. Raptors aren't incapable of slowing that run. And at the end, the Knicks are all smiles, and the Raptors, and this is what bothers me too. Okay, a game's getting difficult. A game's getting nasty like this. The other team's hitting you over the head over and over again. What do I see from a response? Well, the closest thing you saw to a technical foul or a flagrant foul was by Garrett Temple, who did a reckless closeout, sliding his foot under Josh Hart in garbage time. Right? That's not even a flagrant foul, really. I mean, in terms of it is by the rules, but what I mean by the spirit of it, it wasn't exactly like someone got pissed and knocked somebody around. That never happened tonight, right? And again, even from the leader of the team, right? There was a play, again, Scottie was pretty quiet all game offensively, but he gets free for a second, throws down a dunk, OG's late to contest, gives up the and one, and Scotty roars in his face. You're down 20, and you missed a free throw for the and one, so it wasn't even an and one, and it's the fourth quarter, and this literally been a 64-26 avalanche in the second half. That's unacceptable. I hope someone says that it's unacceptable, because this team has played well enough to stop doing this Jekyll and Hyde shit. You know, there's going to be off nights. There really are going to be off nights. I understand. First came back from a road trip. It's always a thing. You know, like you relax a little bit, especially coming off a successful road trip. Come back. The first game is basically like a road game. Whatever you want to say, man. Whatever you want to say. That's fair. But ultimately, the standard has to be higher than this. Aren't you sick of losing to the Knicks? And losing to the Knicks in the exact same way. And by the way, the Raptors lose to the Celtics in the exact same way as well. The Raptors lose to these physical teams. And guess what? Celtics, Philadelphia with the Sixers, and the New York Knicks have owned the Raptors this year. And I know Philly. I know the Raptors beat Philly twice. Okay, so it's a 2-2 season series, but the Raptors have pinched a couple wins off Philly. Meanwhile, Philadelphia has rolled the Raptors. Speaking of which, the Raptors losing at home, by the way, they also lost in this exact fashion against the Sixers. That game, remember, they were down like 70-30. I mean, they were down so bad, Kyle Lowry got in the game. All due respect, but that's how bad it was, right? When the Raptors play the Pistons, are we going to see the same thing? Are we going to see when the other team decides to push you around and be physical, is anyone going to push back? And that's my question for the whole group, and that's something that they have to answer and address. It's all good being a young team on the come up, growing up, getting exciting wins, beating OKC, coming back on the road, pinching a win here or there, rolling, finding a level of consistency, young guys emerging, older guys staying consistent. All those things are good. That's all good. We got a great atmosphere, great culture, conga line before the game, open gym's a vibe. All that's great. In the words of Cam Newton, we give that grace to young players. And they'll have this grace this year. But this is something that they have to get over. This is like a little immaturity point that the team just has to get over. And if they don't, you are going to see them lose in more devastating ways than just Raptors losing 64-26 in basically in the last 20 minutes of the game in a January game against the Knicks. You're going to see this happen in the playoffs and in meaningful games. And that's where, for the culture of this team, they have to find it within themselves to overcome that. You could throw out the analysis of the rest of the game. The rest of the game doesn't matter. That's actually the one thing with this group that they need to get over. And if they don't, that's the ceiling of the team. And I really hope that you can develop toughness along the way. Otherwise, you make moves. It's not like trades aren't an option. Sometimes you ride to a certain point. That's how you can get with the person. You go for a different look. Were the Knicks this tough and this physical without importing OG? Not really. Right? So, you have, right, again, Raptors are on the innocent climb right now. It's all good. It's all cute. Couple things from this game besides that. Welcome back to the team, Collin Murray-Boyles. Collin Murray-Boyles tonight, I would say he played well. 28 minutes. I thought he was one of the standouts in the first half. Second half, the size got to him. And that's something where he's fighting an uphill battle. Certainly Sandro wasn't going to help him fight it because Sandro, again, another guy who struggles against the physicality. But I thought in the first half at least, Collin made a lot of good plays. Rebounding the ball, making the extra pass, throwing high-low passes. Cat didn't score a lot tonight. A lot of that was CMB and his ability to pressure. Raptors designed their whole game plan around Jalen Brunson, which, congratulations, they did shut down Jalen Brunson. Brunson only had 13 points on 5 of 13 shooting. I mean, the man was sick on the second half of back-to-back and in foul trouble, but you also watched the game, and Brunson wasn't the one dominating. However, outside of Brunson, there are still other threats. Josh Hart, who owns the Raptors in the exact same way every single time. Karl-Anthony Towns, who owned the glass tonight. I mean, 22 rebounds and 19 points is just, very impressive. He didn't really score that much, really. Sorry, not 19 points, 8 points. He was a plus 19. 8 points and 22 rebounds. But again, owned the glass, ended all the possessions, and then OG and Mikal Bridges on the wings. And by the way, that point about OG and Mikal Bridges on the wings, yes, some of that was on, Scotty and Brandon, sometimes, they gave up a couple of those in that stretch too. I'm not saying they're innocent of this. But part of the reason the wings killed us so much, Jacoby Walter, who last game was tasked to close the game, he even put his hand up for the Shea assignment. He said, I want that Shea assignment. Tonight, like a clear negative. And again, we can always say he's a young guy, second-year player. Will, why are you being harsh? You really think he's going to outplay, OG and Mikal Bridges? These guys are established players in the league versus second-year player? No, I don't. But at the same time, you're in the game. You can't be giving up this much to these guys. RJ Barrett getting lost on some of those. I mean, the play where OG was in the corner and RJ is on him, and he just slid over to the side as if he was going to, like, send a pick and roll going left or something. It's like, the guy's on the baseline. You guard him straight up. You don't, like, shade him towards help. He's on the baseline. If he wants to drive all the way around you on the outside against the baseline, make him do it. He's taking a longer path around you, and that's where the help's going to be. And they'll have more time to rotate. You can't just preemptively, like, slide to the side and allow OG to drive in with a clear lane on the baseline for an and one dunk. And by the way, no celebration from OG. It's not like OG dunked the ball and went, look at me. Like, cool, 2 points. Let me get another one at the foul line. I'll make it too. Like, that's what a mature team does. And I credit the Knicks for that. I'm jealous of the Knicks. I want the Raptors to get to this level where we're able to impose our physicality, where, there's multiple things to shut down. So, like, tonight, Raptors had Brandon Ingram out there, right? But once the Knicks basically endured, they didn't really shut down Brandon, but once Ingram came out the game, other guys couldn't pick it up, right? The Knicks tonight, okay, you're gonna do special coverages against Brunson. You're gonna trap Brunson a lot. You're gonna put Scotty on Brunson and CMB on Cat. Then you can switch that pick and roll. These are all game plans for Brunson. Where's the game plan for the rest of the guys? Because they cooked you like crazy, right? That's the level I want the Raptors to get to. And this is a great model for the Raptors to get to. And by the way, the Knicks are a very good team. They're ready to win now. They might get even better if they make the trade for Giannis. That's when I see New York, I see an ambitious group. I really do. And, I think for the Raptors, like, hold yourself to, like, standards. Hold yourself to the standard. I don't want to hear about how they had a good effort tonight and they just lost their concentration for a couple minutes, but, we'll get them next time. No. We're not getting them next time because guess what? 11 straight losses to the Knicks is not we'll get them next time. It's they've gotten you 11 straight times. What else from this game? I don't know, actually. That's kind of it. Wasn't that much else from this game. Sorry. We're going to take a quick break. I'd love to hear from you guys about what you guys thought about this game. And then, of course, we'll bring in... Well, not of course, but we'll actually bring in Alex as well. Because he wants to talk a little bit of trade stuff. And, might be a little bit more open-minded about a trade after I see a game like this. Stay tuned.
This segment is brought to you by Table Fare and Social. Get your pregame bites and after-work drinks at Table.
It's a great location, right across the street from the arena and just steps away from Union Station and the Metrolinx bus terminal.
Will, I love my wedge salad, but there's plenty of options at Table. What should we have next?
Oh, we can have salad for days, my friend.
Oh, you're talking about salad days? I love salad days, man. They got a different salad for every day of the week. You can never get tired of the options there.
Oh yeah, I heard about this place. This was your go-to lunch spot forever. You always said the lettuce was so crispy.
Man, it's so crispy and fresh, and now this can be your go-to meal before Raptors games.
I like that. Grab a pregame salad at Table Fare and Social right across from the arena. Okay, let's get to your questions. I might even want to look at the press conference, honestly, because I hope we don't just get nice guy Darko every time. Once in a while you could say this is much below our record. By the way, the Raptors are now 13-12 at home. They're a better road team than a home team. Very strange team, but yeah, whatever. As always, we'll get to the money first. Appreciate you guys for sending in money to the chat. First one from Hashim. Darko watched the 10-point lead evaporate before his very eyes and didn't do a thing about it. No timeout. I mean, look, timeout or no timeout, you got to have some leaders on the floor, right? Okay, you recognize the situation. You got to stop the bleeding. Scotty was on the floor. Jamal Shead was on the floor. These guys got to figure it out. IQ, got to have team leadership with it as well. RJ as well. These guys aren't the first year here, right? Like, they needed to organize a little bit on the court too. Look, I'll put a little bit of this on Darko in the sense that, like, you know, the game did slide away, and the Raptors came out of the execution out of timeouts with the lack of focus at certain points. You know, Raptors turned the ball over a lot, for example, out of the timeouts. That's not usual for this team. But at the same time, like, I don't know. For me, I felt the on-court leadership was lacking tonight. But certainly the coaching didn't help. Next one from Arsh, who sent in 5. I would actually want the Raptors to play the Knicks in the playoffs. Only way to get over this mental and physical hurdle with them and grow. You know what? I think the Raptors are definitely losing to the Knicks in the playoffs. It might even be a 5-game series. And it's crazy because the two teams are separated by like 1 game in the standing now. But realistically, we see how different the two teams are. Raptors going to play this team 5 times again on the season. It's super rare, but they're going to do it because of the NBA Cup. And if they play them another 4 times minimum in the playoffs, maybe then we'll see some pushback from the Raptors. Because for the life of me, I understand it's a difficult matchup at certain points. You know, their wings are much more physical than our wings. And of course, I'm saying that because Scotty has to play closer to the basket, sometimes, you know, playing a little bit of center right now with CMB as well. But I don't know, Knicks have more size and they're physical, right? You know, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, those guys have killed us. But when everybody on the team kills you, like, we've had times this season where, you know, Deuce McBride kills you. We've had times this season where Tyler Kolek killed you, like tonight. We have times this season where Jalen Brunson completely took over and killed you. Like, when the whole team kills you, and killed you tonight, and Mitchell Robinson's killed you, that's got to be a mentality thing. Like, you have to fight back, man. Like, it's a little sickening watching this over and over again, man. It really has been, you know. I mean, again, that doesn't invalidate what the other good stuff they've done this season, but this is something that they got to get over. And this is what the playoffs are going to be. It's going to be a splash of cold water. Your reward for playing great all season and surprising teams and establishing things, your reward is to get to the playoffs and face just this exact type of basketball that the Knicks play, that the Celtics play, that the Pistons play. And the Raptors are capable of it. And I know that sounds kind of ridiculous right now, but they are capable of it. But they have to access it. And honestly, they have to access it not just when things are going your way, but when things are not going your way. They need to pick up the physicality tonight in a way that to respond. Because the only way to actually beat the way the Knicks were playing and stop their run and get the game back in your control, which never happened, is to actually, like, meet force with force. And the Raptors instead wilted. And that's what the disappointing part of this game was. We also got $10 as well. Too many missed opportunities in the first half. The 12-point lead should have been a 20-point lead. Got to go for the jugular. You can't let the Knicks hang around. I agree on that front as well. The Raptors, execution-wise, set up guys for open threes, but they just couldn't hit them. And you know what? That's not the first time we've seen it. That's not the last time we've seen it. I think it's pretty clear the Raptors they don't have tough, difficult shot makers besides Brandon, right? Everyone else got to get it in the flow of the offense. Scotty could sometimes do it, but Scotty's not going to carry the scoring. It's mostly just going to be Brandon who does it. The rest of them have to be tough shot makers, especially Jacoby, open in the corner, unable to hit. Gradey Dick, open on the wing, unable to hit. IQ, RJ, they need enough from those guys. And RJ, usually when he's healthy and like at full physical capacity, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, usually RJ is able to access a little bit of that toughness in terms of the scoring. There's not just toughness in terms of defense. There's toughness in terms of scoring as well. But it's like being able to score through contact. Like, OG's a pretty tough player on both ends. A tough two-way player, you know? Like, he's just kind of undeterred. Yeah. The Raptors, on the wings tonight, they really wilted. And again, I know it's for a lot of young guys. Like CMB, not willing to go up around the basket. Jamal, you know, not realistically being a threat to score and not posing that realistic threat. IQ, not being able to overcome some of the physicality, and tonight was mostly selling for those floaters. You know, we've been seeing IQ go to the basket a lot more, drawing fouls. Didn't see that tonight. You know, Gradey, Jacoby, kind of being the same thing. If you know, they're 3-point specialists, but sometimes aren't as confident on the threes. Gradey, I thought tonight actually played decently. So yeah, I think he played well in the first half. Second half, I don't know. He didn't really play as many minutes. It felt like. It felt like Jacoby got the first 10 ahead of him. I can see that because like they needed defense on the wing, but Jacoby wasn't defending much either. Just a really bad game from Jacoby. I don't know what to say. Like this was probably one of his worst of the year. But yeah, like when the game gets tough, like are you able to still execute and maintain? And sometimes it's not even just about who can score. Tonight, the Raptors couldn't even pass. I mean, you don't usually see the Raptors have 20 turnovers. You know, that's got to be close to a season high. So, kind of disappointing all the way around. Like, they didn't really execute any part of the game plan that it really wanted to tonight. We'll get to some of the other questions as well here. But I appreciate all the people who sent in money. That's great. Thank you so much. Trickster God sends in, Scotty, BI, CMB put their share in, but others did not play well. We need all hands on deck if they want to beat good teams. Yes, I agree with you, but at the same time, I wanted more from Scotty tonight. I really wanted more from Scotty tonight. He got the scoring turned on late. He got a couple of buckets, got fouled here or there. But the turnovers from Scotty, that was part of why the missed opportunities were there in the first half. I can understand turnovers when like there's like all sorts of pressure or it's late clock and you got to force something that's not there. You know, that's just kind of the nature of it, but we also saw lots of stuff that's just like full court passes that were like thrown out to the side and guys not catching it and, just like being over aggressive with some of that stuff. Again, like he's the leader of the team, right? They're going to go as he goes. Scotty was real quiet offensively in the first half, was turned the ball over. And yes, he had a couple plays late, but that's got to be consistent. That's got to be there from the whole game, and it's not like, look, I mean, if we're going to be completely honest about it, and we know these are two different classes of scorers, but the Raptors had a whole game plan for how they wanted to guard Jalen Brunson tonight. Multiple coverages for Jalen Brunson, right? And ultimately, he didn't have a good game. He wasn't even in the game, but he still commanded that much attention, right? Knicks played Scotty 1-on-1. So he needs to be a factor. Sometimes he has this habit of sort of sitting back and letting the rest of the group, get going. That happened a lot on the road trip. It's not like he had a huge scoring game against Portland or against OKC. He didn't have a huge impact on the offense on those ones. But you can afford in some of those games because IQ was going. IQ was going really. That there was two scores then, IQ and RJ and Brandon. If it's just Brandon out there, like Scotty's got to impose himself more too, man. You can't just wait. And I know Scotty has this gear in him. I want to see him be able to to access it more, especially in games where the game gets really difficult and tight down the stretch. Another one here from Nolan. Didn't really feel All-Star Scotty tonight either. Didn't really have a bad game, but it feels like we need more of a leadership game. Raptors felt disinterested coming out of half. Yeah, that's how I felt too. I mean, you never really felt like the Raptors were like, we're rolling. The Knicks are second half of back-to-back. They've been reeling a little bit. They're without a couple guys. Let's capitalize. Okay, Jalen Brunson's sick. He's cold. Let's capitalize. Let's take advantage of this. They never felt that. It just felt like another game to them, going through the motions again. You can't get bored with winning. You just can't. Like that has to be there consistently, and then you develop that into like a habit. Another question here. Need actual ball penetration, timely kickouts, low percentages that don't start with 7 seconds left on the clock, baseline cuts, etc., etc. I thought the Raptors actually did a decent job of moving and cutting and operating. The Raptors played a lot through their big, in CMB tonight. There was a lot of possessions where he had at the top and, he was facilitating, allowing their scorers to get free off the ball. But yes, downhill pressure-wise, you didn't really see much of it. RJ got downhill and it largely led to opportunities for RJ to get to the foul line or even just score at the basket. Sometimes when he's playing in the traffic like that and putting his head down, he will also lose the ball, and it's basically a guaranteed run out the other way for 2 points for the opponent. But who else was getting downhill like that? Brandon was getting, his flurry of scoring, and, I have, again, like I said, none of what I said applies to Brandon. Brandon did his job tonight. But I really wanted to see a little bit more of that toughness from the rest of the guys. Offensive toughness is a real thing, Touch the paint. And a lot of it comes from the guards, too. It needs to be from IQ and Jamal. And both of those guys were, basically didn't play tonight, I'm going to take two more questions here. We got Douglas sends in $5 New Zealand. Okay, big fan from New Zealand. Thank you. Wow, that's very cool. We need to shop RJ and Yak for a creator for the bench or a 3 and D to take a lesser role for the starters. Plus trade Ocha. I think that's I think for RJ, and we'll talk about it because trade deadline is next week. So we basically have about a week until the trade deadline, and we'll be talking lots of trades and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, Yak is base. I mean, look, I wanted to practice yesterday. Yak, as Darko said, went through a non-contact practice, so that's that. And then after the press conference, I was looking towards the back of the gym, and I saw 3 people walk into an office together. It was Bobby, Jakob, and Alex McKechnie, and they were walking into Alex McKechnie's office in the back. And they talked for a while. I'm not sure how long because I was, in the middle of a press conference. I couldn't really split my attention. But didn't really feel like Jakob was any closer to coming back. That's a real problem because you need size. A lot of this game comes down to size, and the Raptors have not had the size. They've been playing compromise basketball, small ball basketball, and that'll get you somewhere. Raptors can get somewhere with that, but not against the best teams in the league. The Knicks, the Pistons, the Celtics, the Sixers. These are 4 matchups the Raptors has currently constructed will not match up well against and are really in threat of flaming out against. And whatever, you might say making the playoffs by itself is an achievement. I agree. But you're going to have to solve that problem eventually. So. And then, of course, Douglas also sends another 5. Oh, they just sent it the same thing twice? Okay. Well, I appreciate you. Well, thanks for sending in $5 twice to get a question into the show. Hey, by the way, on the topic of trades, we're going to bring in my co-host, Alex Wong. What up, dog? I haven't seen you since an hour ago.
Hey, buddy. It was really fun. We got to go to a Amazon Prime event.
That's right.
And they had a blackjack table there. It was not for real money. You played to win a deck of cards, Fallout cards, because Fallout is a show on Amazon Prime. And I'm happy to report, I think you did pretty well. I lost $2,000 in 3 hands. Yeah.
Well, luckily, I mean, you were going all in on every single hand, no matter what. But yeah, I'm happy we got to finally gamble together, man. You usually it's just you at blackjack, so I'm happy that we were able to play together. Luckily, it was all fake money, so no real L's on this side.
Drinking a mocktail and losing 2,000 fake dollars. This is the new reality, man. Yeah.
You know what? It's hilarious because I came in all guns blazing, Asian dad mode, like, you got to do better, son, et cetera, et cetera. What are you going to do with your life? And then meanwhile, dad's out here playing fake blackjack. But thanks to Prime Video Canada for inviting us out, man.
Yeah. Tough L for the Raptors tonight, Just can't get to that level, man.
But you know what I mean, though? Like, how could you beat both teams? You know what I mean? Like, how can you beat both? Like, we're young, we're plucky, we're good this year. You know what I mean? And then you just lay an egg like this. And also, how many times have we been washed at home, bro? Does that bother you? Like, to lose in this fashion at home?
Well,
I guess
think
the last time you saw it was the Knicks game. In the NBA Cup. You were there for that one. It was the same game as this.
I think it's just losing to the Knicks. Like, at some point, losing 11 in a row to the same team. Like, like at some point you got to be like, yo, man, like, can we just get a win?
No, but
step up at some point, man.
No, they lose in the same fashion every single time. Like, that's like, you got to correct it eventually. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. Anyways, Shams reported today that Giannis is ready for a new home, and that the Bucks are finally fielding offers from rival teams, and he might be on the move before next week's trade deadline. And what the Bucks are looking for is a package of blue chip young talent and or a surplus of draft picks. And the initial serious suitors that were mentioned were Miami, Minnesota, New York, and Golden State. And then Toronto was mentioned too in separate reporting, believed to be interested, but also they're not making Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram available. First of all, from the Toronto side, do you think that's the right approach in any conversation about Giannis?
I understand why the Raptors would say we don't want to give you Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram. It's not the Raptors saying like we believe these two players are more valuable than Giannis, because that would be delusional. Obviously, well, not delusional in the case of Scotty, but like I think that the reason you don't make these guys available is because if you're trading for Giannis, you need the best pieces to win around Giannis, and a trio of Giannis, Scotty, and Brandon is the thing you're going for. If you're gonna trade Brandon for Giannis, you probably would do it into the sense of value, but all of a sudden you need a half-court creator again, a late-game shot taker, a late-game shot maker. You don't have that. And, of course, if you trade Scotty for Giannis, then you've basically gutted your identity and the leader of your team. Now, granted, you get Giannis, so it's not nothing, but, yeah. So I think the ideal is that the Raptors trade, again, the same three guys they always talk about, Jakob, IQ, RJ, and then plus some picks. In this case, like, I'll ask you, do you think the Raptors have a competitive offer for Giannis if they throw everything but their main guys in there? Like if they throw CMB, Jakob, RJ, 3 firsts, 2 swaps, do you think that's the best offer? Do you think that is a offer that Milwaukee would say yes to?
What's the maximum number of picks that the Raptors could put in? I think they could put up to 4 firsts and then swaps as well.
I did hear up to 4, which and by the way, we have now seen Giannis in every edition of the Raptors jersey from 2018 until 2026.
Yo, this guy's been in Raps rumors since OVO was still hot.
I'm not gonna lie to you, like I've seen Giannis in the Husky jersey.
Yeah.
I've seen Giannis in the championship season jersey. I've seen Giannis in that purple and black
I've seen
Tampa
Giannis.
jersey.
I've seen Giannis in the custom Tampa jerseys that are floating around on Etsy. He has been in every iteration. It's been a long chase, but it doesn't feel like a chase because it's always just been kind of on the side.
Yeah, for sure. But, okay,
in terms of picks, I think Milwaukee would ask for everything from the pick side.
They should.
Because because no disrespect to RJ or IQ or even CMB, I think other teams, if they were to come to the table, could possibly give them better, younger talent or like at least one player that could be better. Although CMB, I think, is pretty intriguing. And if push comes to shove, I think Milwaukee's got to talk themselves into like IQ or RJ as well. I mean, those will immediately be their best prospect.
I was going to say, by the way, when Milwaukee moves on from Giannis, they can't be picky about anything because they have one of the worst supporting rosters around Giannis already. That's why Giannis wants to go.
Yeah, I think this would be a very competitive offer. Just when you're looking at the other trades, I think right now, to me, it feels like, and Brian Windhorst said this too, that Golden State looks like they're ready to make the biggest push because they also have up to first 4-rounders that they can trade. They can put in 3 pick swaps. So basically you're in control of like 7 years of their picks. Okay. And I guess they would throw in this case, the picks, it would be Kuminga and Brandon Podziemski. But the rationale here is which of the team's picks would be more appealing. And you would think if you go 7 years out, Steph's going to be retired, right? And you don't know what the team is going to be around Giannis, if Giannis is still with the Warriors by then. So those picks do become really appealing. It's kind of like a version of when OKC got all the Clippers picks. And you saw how they were able to cash out. But there's no Shea in this situation for them to acquire out there. So I think it's really on the draft capital that is coming back. Plus Milwaukee doesn't want players that can help them win now, because they want to tank this season and get a really good lottery pick and start the rebuild there. So I think it's going to come down to the different teams and their willingness to put in the draft picks.
Where do you think Giannis wants to go? Because like, you know how like NBA players are nowadays. They demand trades, but they orchestrate it to the teams that they want to go to and ultimately extend it. Giannis is extension eligible. By the way, I think there's a small quirk that if Giannis gets traded to the team that he's going to extend with, at this year's trade deadline, he can then still sign an extension. Versus if he gets traded in the offseason, he's not able to access the same amount of money via extension.
Yes, plus he would have to wait another 6 months before he could sign. So like any team, it would be advantageous for Giannis and the new team to get the deal done next week. Because then he'd be able to sign, I think it's like a 4-year, $275 million extension.
Right. Which, of course, every team would want to do. And I think that's his leverage in terms of trying to dictate which teams he can go to. I think what's interesting is I'm surprised of how all this has been played out and dragged out to this large degree. I mean, part of the reason I don't get excited for the Giannis stuff anymore is because, like, how many times am I going to fall for the same pump fake? Shams tweets it, Giannis pushes back, then Shams got to retreat, then Shams tweets it, then Giannis got to push it back. Meanwhile, I'm like, you guys already know what's going to happen here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, stop kind of jerking this thing around. Like, just do it. And I think, honestly, part of this makes me wonder, like, does this agent not have the juice to bring Giannis to the place he wants to go to?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, to answer your question, I honestly would say Golden State. I think if you're looking for a partnership from Giannis' standpoint, I get the appeal with Miami, I guess, to be paired up with Bam. Although, you know, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I definitely don't. I definitely don't have Bam.
It's a really good defensive team
as other people. Yeah. For me, if I'm looking out there, the one player that I want to play with is Steph. Like, even at his age, like, you think about a Steph-Giannis combination. Like, Golden State's been trying to cobble together all these different combinations, find different role players, even bringing in Jimmy Butler. Unfortunately, got hurt. But it's like, you get Steph and Giannis, then, yeah, suddenly I think you're right in the conversation of some things, you know? You're not going to be the favorites in the West, but, like, you go into the playoffs with Steph and Giannis as a play-in team, as a top 6 team, like, that's pretty scary to me. And they still have Draymond Green there to stomp on some guys in the first round.
Sure, so. I guess. I mean, you need a bad guy. Honestly, Raptors could have used the Draymond today, right? Someone to just change the energy. Because when they got...
Garrett Temple committed a flagrant. Yeah.
Garrett Temple cannot be on Draymond, okay? Come on now. You can't commit flagrants and go on podcasts. There's no way. Is he on Raptors show tomorrow?
I think for me... crickets. No, I think for me, if I'm Giannis, like, you know, I think it's the partnership with Steph. I guess the question would be, if I'm Giannis as well, do I want to go to the West? The West is obviously much more challenging. Yeah. Is there a scenario where in the East, I guess the 3 East teams you look at are Miami, New York, and if you want to throw Toronto in there.
You could throw Toronto in there, sure. Yeah, this is a Raptors program. Let's throw Toronto in there.
I'm trying my best.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think our chances at Giannis and our obsession with Giannis kind of sailed when Masai left. But
I mean that's fine. But I think for me with Toronto, it's like you don't put in Scotty, you don't put in Brandon, fine. I mean, if it gets to it, Brandon's gonna be in the trade if they think that's the thing that's gonna get it across.
Why would the Bucks go all in?
I know. I don't see it.
Brandon in there, it doesn't make any sense.
But I'm saying if I'm the Raptors, if I'm Bobby, you know, finally getting to work here, like just put in all the draft picks if you want, if you really feel that strongly about Giannis, and you know, I think if you can come out of this and get Giannis and keep Scotty and Brandon, of course. Then I think you're willing to part with a lot of those future assets. Because you're ultimately looking to acquire like a top 5, top 10 player. And if you can do that without giving up your top 2 players, I mean, this is the Raptors' method of just trying to get every player, right? Like, they always draw a line, right?
They always draw a line. But, I mean, these truly fundamentally great players are not available this often. And I think, again, a lot of this is... I don't think you make any trade for Giannis unless Giannis says to you, I will sign that 4-year extension when I join your team. Like, as soon as you hit the market. Like, as soon as you can. You know what I mean? Like, I need that guarantee because I'm not trying to do no rental for Giannis and I give him my entire future. That's ridiculous.
And I think the NBA landscape has changed, too, now in that, like, I think that's why there's a lot of hesitance in these offers or even teams willing to step up. Because I saw the Spurs reportedly have said that they're not interested in putting together a package. Because, like, so much of it is about team building now, right? Like, the Spurs are on their way to building a team around Wemby already. You could argue, you know, the Raptors are building a team around Scotty, around Brandon. And it's like, when's the last time you saw, like, a big 2 or big 3 really kind of go through, right? Like, you have to have like depth on your team now. You need all of that. Like it's no longer let's just stack superstars and figure out the rest. Like you can't really do that. Sure. So I think that landscape has completely changed, and it's really changed the way we talk about like a player like Giannis. Because this is kind of ridiculous to hear some teams just being straight up like not interested.
Well, and this is one of my pushbacks against Giannis too. Is also like, look, I respect Giannis like crazy. I understand that this is a champion. This is a 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, like guaranteed, first ballot Hall of Famer. Legit broke like all the records in Milwaukee, and that's a franchise that had freaking Lou Alcindor. Do you know what I mean? Like this guy took all Kareem's records down. Like that, you know what I mean? Like that's all like there, and I want to say that with respect. But again, Giannis has also been the guy who has lost 4 times in a row now in the first round. And you might say, well, that's because he's been injured. He's been injured a lot in the playoffs. And this is now his 4th calf strain. And whatever. You might want to say this is like the man trade calf strain. It might not be like, just that his legs all torn up. I'm not necessarily saying that. But I don't know. Part of it is just like, it's risky. To be honest, we haven't said it yet, but the team that he should go to, and I've asserted this the entire time, he should go to New York.
Yeah,
the Knicks are ready to go right now.
I mean, I know that I know the Knicks are
as built.
No, that's fair. I think the Knicks are ready to go, but the big problem is the Knicks can't offer a lot of draft picks. Like they just don't have the draft capital, and any deal is going to be for Towns, and then throwing in I think either OG or Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
And then it's like the Bucks. I don't think that helps the Bucks. Then the Bucks would just be like a 35-win team. The Bucks would be like a 35 to 40 win team.
I hear you, and that's all completely fair. But this is why I asked you that earlier question about, do you feel like Giannis' agent has the juice? Because usually agents get the players to the team that they want to get to. And sometimes it's not a sexy trade.
Yeah, I think it might be an agent thing. I don't know if Giannis feels any type of way in terms of like wanting to make sure that this deal works out for everybody. Because like if he were to force himself to New York, like I think that's one of the worst offers out there that Milwaukee can get.
Why can't Towns get you at least back 1 first? Like Towns is a very good player. He should be worth the first.
Sure.
And OG should be worth 2 firsts, and Mikal Bridges objectively should still be worth 2 firsts. So that's
Mikal Bridges should be worth 5 firsts.
Well, yeah, I mean, whatever. Right? Like, why not?
No, I just I think Giannis in New York makes sense. Like I think he's indicated he's been interested in going there. But as trade partners, it's just I don't know. Like it just doesn't add up for me.
I still think he goes to.
I'm saying he's gonna end up in Golden State. Yeah, I'm going with the Warriors.
I also do like my little Miami, my little parlay of my Uncut Gems parlay of Masai and Giannis both ending up as a combination package in Miami.
That would be so heartbreaking if that happened like next Thursday.
Giannis says, Masai goes to the press conference with Giannis and he says, "With all due respect to Precious Achua, finally, you are mine now."
Yo, he's like, I'm Riley Yakovich. I'm Pat Riley Yakovich now. Yo, like it doesn't even make sense.
He goes to the press conference. He's like, "Aaron Rodgers has my ass taste."
Yeah, he's like, and happy Asian Heritage Month to Eric Spoelstra. Oh, that would be a nightmare.
Bobby, he's like, "Bobby, don't you wish you came to the Heat? Yeah. Don't you wish you came to the Heat?
Tell me how my apron tastes." I mean, people have mentioned Detroit too as a team that can really step in because like they do have those young players. Yeah, but
Detroit's not gonna make the move. I think Detroit's rolling, man. Like.
But man, Detroit's a team that should take a swing at this, right? Because you're clearly not gonna move off your main guys like Cade or Jalen Duren. But then, what if you get into like guys like Asar Thompson, Jaden Ivey, even Ron Holland, and then they could trade 4 first-round picks. Like that satisfies what the Bucks want, right? A version of what the Bucks want.
Look, the Bucks should get the best deal for the Bucks, but at the same time, I just feel like Giannis has enough level of say to say, I'm not going to sign an extension with these teams. Like, this is how it's supposed to go. Player S out says, I want to get traded to these level of teams, right? Like, why has that list of teams still not emerged yet? Like, this should be done there's a whole process to this. Player says, my time here is done. right? Which everyone would say Giannis's time with the Bucks is done. It's the KG situation, except this version of KG actually won a chip for Minnesota, right? With Giannis actually bringing a chip to Milwaukee. He's okay to leave. Milwaukee needs to move on. Everyone knows this. He should just go, they should do the orchestrated press conference where he's going. There's a list of teams he wants to get traded to, and it's up to the GM to make a deal with those 3 teams. That's it. Like, there should be no open market for this. There shouldn't be like, oh, OKC can maybe jump in with, because OKC could obviously, they're the ultimate trump card. Hold, like, I mean, if you're playing president with OKC, they got all the 2s. I mean, they're playing big 2 with their big 1 of Shea and the rest of that whole team. Like, they could make trades. They have all the picks in the world. But, like, realistically, Giannis should be able to dictate. And that's what's so weird about this situation. Like, we're pretending
you
like
saw
Giannis
the same
is, like,
situation
some
happen
random
with Dame
guy.
too, though. Because, like, Dame was supposed to be telegraphed to Miami.
Yeah.
And that we spent the whole summer waiting, and they ended up getting shipped to Milwaukee.
Right.
So there are times when some of these teams, especially smaller market, like Portland, Milwaukee, like, they just have to do what's right for them. And I think any trade with the Knicks right now, that's like the least appealing out of all of them out there. Knicks are desperate. I mean, if Knicks just shouldn't have given up all those picks for Bridges.
Well, yeah, it's true.
The Giannis
You're
trade
right.
would be right there for them. I mean, I don't know.
Apparently, there were 5 shitty firsts, but whatever. They're still firsts.
Yeah, I mean, firsts are talked about like such luxury when it comes to these
Right.
conversations, right? Nobody actually cares to think about how they'll turn out. But yeah, my prediction is he'll end up in Golden State. I think that would be really cool, actually.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to, no matter what happens, I'm looking for that situation being resolved relatively quickly, because I do think it's going to hold up the rest of the trade market until Giannis makes
It's really
his
going to
move.
hold up the Daniel Gafford market.
Well, I mean, look, I actually do think that a lot of other teams are going to wait for this big domino to fall. The only people who didn't care about this was Trae Young and the Wizards. They're like, okay.
I saw yesterday Jeremy Sohan is like working with the Spurs to find a new home. I'm like, yo,
bad
that
time.
should
You
not
know
even
what?
that should not even on Zillow.com. Man, it's trying to find a new home.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not trying to tell you just how to do their job, but bad time to leak a report about your, you know what I mean? It was the same thing with Dalton Connect. Apparently, Dalton Connect walked into
Oh,
the
he
Lakers
wants a
front office,
fresh start.
and he wants a fresh start. It's like, buddy, it's Giannis Day, okay? Wait another day to make this announcement, man. That's not how you
man.
own. That's not how you own the story. It's just not. I'm sorry. Like, what's happening right now?
Do you
So,
think Giannis is moving at the deadline?
I do think he's moving the deadline.
Okay.
Honestly, this is everyone's wanted these 2 teams to just, like, these 2 parties to just, like, end it. Want to
Yeah.
move on. Honestly, as a fan of just basketball, I want to see Giannis in a productive environment again,
Yeah.
and I want to see Milwaukee just, like, do something else. Like, they're just holding on to this is not working at all. And yeah, I don't know. I think ultimately, I don't think the Raptors are the team that's going to trade for Giannis. I understand we could put together a competitive package, but if I'm Giannis, I can try to dictate which team I'm going to. Toronto is appealing. It's more appealing than it was a year ago, than 2 years ago, but it's still not the most appealing destination in my mind. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. You want Sabonis, man? Damn.
No.
Okay, fair enough. All right, conversation over.
Cool.
Check back in for more trade details. We'll be covering all the big rumors as they come. Obviously, the Raptors trade deadline in a week. All right, Alex, get out of here.
Yes.
Shouts to Prime once again. Thanks for inviting us to the party. Okay, let's take a couple more questions. Actually, before we take the questions, I want to let you guys know that, man, this game stressed me out. Going back and locking back into this game in particular stressed me out, man. Third quarter, fourth quarter, watching the Raptors play the Knicks, watching the Raptors fall to the Knicks the same exact way every single time, that got me stressed. And, maybe, think, well, the choice of my beverage, the choice of my beer, that does not have to be stressful, okay? Not gonna lie to you, man. If I were Darko on the front and the coaching staff right now on the plane, I'd be kicking back with a couple, crisp, refreshing Coors Light. I'd be saying, honestly, guys, why can't we be the Knicks? What do we need to do differently against the Knicks? Because it is not working. Raptors are winning again, and we're still getting owned by the Knicks. We got to get over this hurdle. And you know what? Sometimes a lot of the solutions can come over a couple beverages. You really open up, get really vulnerable, and just work it out. You know what I mean? Because they got to work it out about how they play the Knicks. So, guys, Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold certified for a smoother finish. So when the game heats up, why not make the chill choice by grabbing a crisp, refreshing Coors Light? Find Coors Light near you. Visit CoorsLightShop.ca. Celebrate responsibly, and you must be of legal drinking age. Okay, we'll take some more questions, and then we'll wrap it out here. We're not getting to 3 stars yet. We're still going to be on Raptors 92, Knicks 119. Okay, rapid fire through some of these. Nolan, if this game doesn't scream, make a move, then I don't know what does. Yes, we love this team and the guys, but we're not doing much in a 7-game series. Whether it's shooters or big, we got to do something, man. Yep. I mean, I get really attached to it, and I do really recognize that the Raptors are growing, and I even posed the question myself, like, do we want to disrupt the chemistry of this team? Like, I would be careful with that. It's not you just throw these guys away. Like, there has to be a real consideration with that. However, especially now that free agency is dead, and which is actually, I think, a good thing, the fact that free agency is dead across the board, because free agency has been dead for the Raptors. Like, we don't do free agency anyway. Trade deadline and draft are like the 2 biggest movement days in the NBA calendar now. So if you can use these opportunities to improve your team, you have to take it, because you really only get these 2 real, opportunities, right? Draft / start of free agency, which is usually with trades, and then around the trade deadline itself. So yeah, I mean, these problems aren't going to solve themselves. I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? Jeff, too many guys on this roster absolutely cave when other teams get physical. Absolutely. And it's honestly, it's a lot of the same guys, and I want them to either grow out of it, or eventually the Raptors say, you know what, it's not going to happen. We got to fix the problem right now. I don't think they'll make that happen just yet. I mean, realistically, they would be jumping the gun a little bit, but those are the breaks, man. There's certainly a level of physicality that you have to play at to succeed. I mean, you remember the 2019 Raptors? You don't think it was Kawhi Leonard? You don't think Kawhi was physical? 300-pound Marc Gasol wasn't physical? Fred VanVleet with his hands weren't physical. OG Anunoby, well, I guess he didn't even play in that championship run, but Serge Ibaka wasn't physical. You know what I mean? Like Kyle Lowry taking charges, being tough as nails. Pascal flying around. You know what I mean? Like that's the standard. We've seen it in Toronto. We know, and I know I'm not expecting that right now, but. Well, you got to get to that level of player again. Scarlet Knight, we lost because of bad lineup decisions, inability to match physicality, partially refs' fault, and a lack of 3-point shooting. They played to our strengths, and we couldn't evolve. We're a young team. I agree with a lot of that. The one thing I don't agree with is the refs' fault. I'm sorry, man, but the refs gave the Raptors a lot of free throws in this game. I don't think I think the Raptors might have shot like 20 free throws in the first half. Might have been the most they've shot in the first half alone. Raptors were gonna win. The Raptors were gonna shoot 40 free throws. Like. The Knicks turn it up on another level. They're not going to call everything. The Raptors are well aware of that. Raptors also do the same thing where they get all over you and they force you to call every foul. Like, that's always going to happen. That's a tactic as old as time in not just like basketball, but all sports. Like, and when a team takes it there, you got to be able to respond in spite of the referee. So I'm not going to give him that out. Nolan, who sent another one. Didn't really feel all-star Scotty. Oh, yeah, we already took this one earlier, so appreciate you. Darko has no idea how to manage momentum. I don't know. I mean, sometimes Darko doesn't really make good halftime adjustments, but the Raptors' issue wasn't really at halftime. The issue was midway through the third quarter. And there were a couple timeouts called, but didn't really make a change there. But we do have other people sort of saying +1 on the management point. Momentum, Darko should have called like 10 timeouts in the third quarter, and he didn't. Well, Raptors, I think, only entered the fourth quarter with 2 timeouts. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could have called another timeout during that stretch, but they weren't really responding after those timeouts either, Also got channel sending in, can we acknowledge that the Raptors are a good, bad team? They'll win most games against the bottom half of the league, but they cannot compete with the top teams. That doesn't make them bad. That makes them, no, I don't, that's not really fair. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, obviously there are different tiers and there are different levels, and the Raptors haven't been able to access certain things, and part of that is because of the personnel, part of that is because, they're still developing to their habits, but I don't know. I refuse to say this. I mean, they're also just coming off a win against OKC. And I understand OKC had a couple guys missing, but they played way better against OKC than they did tonight. I don't want to just keep giving them the out every time they lose and then celebrate every time they win. That's not realistic. That's not it shouldn't be fair to you as a customer, actually. I'll say that much. I feel like I'd be lying to you if I'd be saying that. Jeff, Mamu was absolutely horrible for the first 3 quarters. Darko yanked him towards the end of the third, and then he was okay after that, but it can't take that long to show up. This is the thing with Mamu. Mamu has these brilliant games where he's able to pop, he's able to, roll to the basket, play in transition, play free. But when the physicality gets there, Mamu's defense, especially at the center position, is simply not adequate. And offensively, if teams put wings on him, if they're physical and they're really mindful of sort of him, he's not getting his own bucket that often either. So this is why people got to pump the brakes a little bit when they all get really worried about how we're going to pay Mamu, See how the whole year goes, see how the playoffs go in particular, and then we evaluate. Mamu's been great. He has had so many good moments. He's worthy of celebration. He's worthy of a raise. Those are all true things. But there's a reason why he's still a young player and he's still a young reserve, because he's going to have these inconsistencies. And, in these tough physical matchups, that's why you need size. That's why you don't always complain about getting a backup center or getting proper size in this team. But in the games where you lack physicality, you can really, really tell. Garbo tour. I don't know. Sorry. But yeah, they said we could be way under 500 if our schedule early on wasn't so easy. Tons of freebies with injured teams too. Raptors have been a little lucky with catching teams without their best players. I mean, they played the Celtics without Jaylen Brown. They lost that game. They played tonight with Jalen Brunson, all banged up. Basically didn't play. We played the Clippers. Kawhi wasn't here. We played the Lakers. Luka wasn't around. So that is a real thing. I'm not saying it's not, but I don't know about way under 500 though. I think people swing too far. That's too far. I don't think you're giving enough credit for how well they played this year. And just because they lost doesn't mean we got to tear down everything. I mean, shit. Maybe I could tell myself that too. So I'm trying to be a little self-aware of that too. CMB should watch OG tape forever. Yeah, I mean, look, we could talk about Defensive Player of the Year and, the excitement. And we've seen the takes that CMB is a better defender as a rookie than OG was as a rookie. We've seen, obviously, a lot of push for Scotty for Defensive Player of the Year. I would just say the one thing is, let's put a little bit of respect on OG Anunoby, because the reason we use him as our standard is because he set the standard for what the defense looks like, especially at a high level, right? We've seen Kawhi hit that level, but outside of that, in my lifetime watching the Raptors, no one else has hit the level that OG hit on that consistent of a basis. And even as much as I'm excited about CMB and the future of him, he plays, first off, a different position than OG, right? They weren't using OG as a center back then. They're using him as a 3. But I'll have to tell you, the first time OG broke out, he was guarding prime MVP James Harden and forced that guy into like 8 turnovers and made him shoot like well under 40%. It's like, that's a different bar. You know what I mean? Saying we were younger is an excuse. I agree. I want a Jakob Poeltl update. Is his career over? They refuse to be very transparent about this whole thing. In fact, last time we talked to Darko, he said he was day-to-day. So, I suppose day-to-day can go into week-to-week and month-to-month, because that's ultimately where we are right now, is month-to-month. Joshua said they need another creator off the bench, would solve a little bit of their offensive production. I agree with you, because it's not a guarantee that Jamal, Jacoby, Gradey, even Mamu can create anything off the bench. It's not a guarantee. Sometimes they'd really do it, and it's great because then it fills in that gap. But they need that secondary level of creation, and they definitely need that. And then, last question here. Raptors need coached offense. Over-reliance on ball screens and curls just isn't working since no one can actually force the advantage after DHOs. Scotty is the only one, but should only get the ball down low. And this is where, when you're looking at upgrading the roster, yes, the Raptors need to mind their defense, but they also really need to add more offense. I think Brandon was definitely a step in the right direction, and you even see tonight. I mean, OG Anunoby draped all over Brandon. I'm talking about how good of a defender OG is. Brandon's still scoring in spite of that. He has that level of offensive skill where he can score in spite of. But, of course, he doesn't do it all the time. He probably does this 65, 70% of games, right? But there's the other 30% where someone else got to pick up the slack. Scotty, dominates the game offensively probably only 30% of the time, right? Obviously, he's more of a two-way guy, does a lot better defensively, and distributes and sets other guys up. But, he doesn't single-handedly carry the offense in the way that you might need him to, especially in terms of scoring the ball himself. That's where a third guy could really help on that front. Of course, when healthy, RJ steps up to that mantle, but of late, obviously RJ's missed a lot of time, and he's still got to find his rhythm back. And, that's why you always see the Raptors try to upgrade on that position as well. So, Okay, that's kind of enough for today. I appreciate you guys for tapping in. I'm gonna wrap up with the 3 stars and head out of here. 3 stars from tonight's performance. I mean, first star I'm gonna give it to Bi. 27 points, 10 of 16 shooting. Very similar to the last time the Raptors played the Knicks, right? In the NBA Cup, Brandon was able to get his buckets, but no one else was scoring. And I know sometimes people are like, "Well, Brandon's playing ISO ball." The offense is, what I mean. Everyone else is struggling. What I want him to do is take over because everyone else is struggling. That's what he's there for. He played well tonight, and none of this was on him. Second star. Wow. I'm gonna go with Gradey Dick. Gradey was aggressive, tight closeouts, couldn't make threes enough, but in 15 minutes off the bench, he had 11 points. Not gonna argue with that. Got to the foul line 6 times, made all 6. And then your third star, CMB's first half. That's what I'm gonna give him. Even though he only had 4 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks tonight, which is still pretty good. I mean, we're talking about a rookie here, coming off of injury, no less. But first half, he had some really nice moments. Passing the ball, he had a back-to-back sequence where he blocked Cat, and then the next play he stripped Cat. It was very nice. First play, Cat didn't give the first bump for the creation of the separation, and so CMB was able to stand his ground and then raise up and block Cat. Next time down, Cat's like, "Okay, I see what you just did. I'm gonna bump you first, create the separation, then gather and go up strong." But when he gathered, CMB, instead of adjusting and trying to fight back against that, kind of pulled a chair a little bit and then slapped down on Cat instead and got the steal. That was great to see. But of course, those are 2 battles in the courts of like the entire game. Ultimately, I thought he did a good job overall. Still would love to see CMB look to score, but the kickouts are pretty good as well. But yeah, CMB, especially in the first half, I thought was worthy of a star. Gerald Henderson Award. I mean, pretty much everybody. I mean, damn, bro. I'm Collin should really get a good shout here because he had 10 assists and he moved the ball beautifully. Shaman was also a pain in the Raptors' ass, but if I have to say, really, it was Mikal Bridges, man. Bridges just couldn't miss. He was celebrating on the Raptors nonstop. Again, nobody stepped to him, did anything about it. 30 points for Mikal Bridges. That's Gerald Henderson Award. So, okay, thanks everyone for listening. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, we'll be back. On Friday? We'll be back on Friday. Raptors play again on Friday, so we'll be back for that. Banter Pod also on Friday. So if you haven't already, send in a question. We'll try to make the chill choice. Just banter amongst friends. Do a little Sopranos character draft. You know what I mean? So stay tuned. And then of course Friday night Raptors play again. And then on Sunday, Raptors play again. So we'll be back at least 3 more times this week. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys. If you guys haven't checked it out already, go watch the Gradey Dick interview. Please show that thing a little bit of love if you haven't already. There's some pretty good laughs in there, I think, especially if you get in like 10, 12 minutes, it starts to get really silly. And, we start to have a really good time, the 2 of us with Gradey. So check out that video if you haven't already. But otherwise, appreciate you guys. I know tonight was a frustrating loss, but it is what it is.